We're asking you this morning to look up. Look up, because up there is a bit of storage, and a bit of storage that we should really take full advantage of. Somebody who knows a lot more about it than I do is Russell Kendon. He's the general manager of Sellwood, and they do attic conversions, and it seems like one of the best things that we can do, Russell.
Morning, how are you?
Marvellous. You know, it's all that space up top. We've gone and put our ventilation systems in. Some people have gone and put inducted air conditioning, and that's great, but there's still lots of space up there.
There is a lot of space up there, and you own it, you might as well use it.
Absolutely, and given the fact that in this current climate, our building platform getting smaller, and we're learning to live smaller and a little bit more minimal too. But if we do want to keep over those photo albums or camping gear, instead of cluttering up the garage, maybe we should put them up top.
That's right. And obviously building costs on a per square metre basis are increasing as well. So it can end up being the cheapest space in your home.
I suppose we should find out first all about the history of taking advantage of the space that is the attic.
Yeah, so it's been a system that has been used quite widely throughout Europe and America for many, many years. The company was set up by my father in the mid-70s. In the early 80s, he was installing spiral staircases and the like, and the folk who he was getting spiral staircases from showed him a retractable ladder that could fold up into the ceiling. And he'd never seen anything like it in New Zealand. No one had seen anything like it. And in 1980, we went to the home show, and the crowds gathered round, and they saw the potential. I guess the potential for the idea came from the fact that you can drive down the road and see any home that is potentially usable for attic storage space. And it has grown from there.
And now we actually did a video with you guys, Mitre 10, on exactly how to install one as well. And so I suppose if you want to take through, what are the minimum requirements if someone wants to put an attic stair up into their loft space?
It varies a bit. Morning, Stan.
Good morning.
It varies a bit. Depending on the type of home that you have, it is much, much easier to install the attic ladder if the home is being built from scratch. A little bit trickier if you're looking to retrofit it, but can still be done. Homes built in the last 30 or so years have got trusses, have a truss line. They're engineered members that you cannot alter. So it's a matter of trying to work in with those as best you can. Homes older than that usually have a joist and rafter set up, and there's often a bit more flexibility in terms of what you can and can't do to make the ladder work. Things need to take into consideration.
So I suppose one of the biggest tips that I would get if you wanted to put one in, if you don't have a truss situation where you can slip the attic stair in between the trusses, and you're going to put it in a situation where you've got ceiling rafters or joists in there, get a builder in to maybe do the structural work for you first.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but in a lot of those situations, the internal walls are in fact load-bearing. So, for example, in a hallway, if you've got joists running across the hallway, very often it's okay to take those joists out because they continue to sit on top of the walls and prop everything up. But, as you say, if you don't know what you're doing, definitely get someone in who can assess that for you and make sure they know what they're doing. Now,
you've got a set of stairs for just about anyone's situation. So do you want to have a run through sort of like from the smallest to your largest and why you would have something a little bit bigger or more heavy duty?
Yeah, so most homes built in the last, 70 years or so have a floor-to-ceiling height of between about 2.4 to 2.7 metres, 8 to 9 feet. So we have one ladder, which is our regular 2.8 metre ladder, which makes up near on half of all the units that we sell. So it's in our regular range, and will cover you for those two common stud heights, 2.4 or 2.7 metres. All ladders just get cut to the right height when they're installed, or slid to the right height. Within that regular range, we do one that goes to 3.1 metres, and then one that goes to 3.6 metres, and they are designed specifically for the older bungalows and the villas that have got the 10 to 12-foot stud heights.
I'm looking at your website and seeing the electric ladder. That's appealing to me.
You've hit right to the top, have you?
I have indeed. I like the idea of not only being able to store things upstairs, and I know that these systems are nice and easy to pull down, but the electric version looks fantastic.
Yeah, so as well as our own New Zealand-made range of attic ladders, which I can take you through, we do have access to a range from Italy, including that electric one there. We also have one in that range that can be used to access through a wall, so it's a wall entry attic ladder. Within our own range, after that deluxe, the regular range, we have a deluxe range. It comes down in a more gentle angle and has a deeper tread. That makes for a much, much easier climb up and down. Feels a little bit more like a steep staircase than a ladder. And again, that will cover you anywhere from 2.4 up to 3.6 metres. Following on from that, we've got our little cheapy ladder, which we call our junior ladder, J24. It's kind of our price point. It is smaller and narrower, doesn't have a handrail, so it's not as good, but it's a price point ladder. Then we've got a ladder that is designed specifically to fit between trusses in a hallway. That's our quad ladder, or Q24. And that's got a shorter opening. So very often trusses are sitting at 900 centres, and they're running across your hallway. And as we discussed, we can't cut through those trusses. The Q24 quad ladder folds into 4 parts, which means we've shortened that opening up, which means you can squeeze between the trusses in the hallway. And following on from that, a newly released ladder, yes, there is information on the internet on it, but it's pretty laid out, is our Metro ladder, which is a lightweight aluminium ladder. Similar concept, it can fit between those trusses in the hallway, but it's got a slightly wider opening as well.
Why would we go with an aluminium ladder as opposed to the wooden one?
After that Metro range, we then have a heavy-duty commercial aluminium range, and that's used primarily for getting people up into roofs on commercial buildings. So the bulk of our range is timber. The reason we've gone to lightweight aluminium for that Metro ladder is not only is the opening wider, but the ladder itself is wider. And by having a wider ladder, it's a wider tread, so there's more pressure on it, so the aluminium is stronger. Unfortunately, the aluminium does come with a higher price point.
Okay, now do you have installers?
We do. We've got a pretty good network nationwide. The vast bulk of the ladders that are sold are in fact sold through building supply merchants. Most builders are installing them themselves. But we've got a pretty comprehensive network of installers throughout the country who would be able to provide a measure, quote and fit service.
Nice. Tone?
Yes, I'm just looking more on the website here, actually. Hamish, do you want to add anything to this?
Well, yeah, I just want to know about if I've got my existing manhole. See, I've just put a manhole in, and to be honest, I've got a massive, space up above my bedrooms and stuff at either end of the house. And it would be ideal for storage. I, too, was gazing happily at the electric one. Being that it's my holiday house, I'm probably not allowed to buy the electric one. I'll be shot. My ceilings are a product called Triboard. So there's no, how do I describe it? Yes, there are trusses running across the top, but I can screw, they're quite widely spaced, the trusses. So what would I have to put any more support in? Do you use the trusses as bracing for the ladder and the manhole itself?
Yeah, good question. Where we are retrofitting attic ladders into existing homes, very often we are installing flooring platforms as well. So
right.
They use the term flooring, obviously, because it's not a structural floor as such.
Yeah.
But when we go about doing that, we actually lay down a subframe of 4x2 or 100 by 50 timber.
Yeah.
We run that perpendicular with the trusses. So at the opposite angle to the trusses, and we lay those at 600 centres.
Yeah.
And then we put down 2.4 by 600 particle board flooring. This is in Auckland. Some of our agents do it a slightly different way. This is how we do it. We lay down a 20mm particle board flooring on top of that. And that makes a platform that is suitable for light storage.
Sure. Okay, so you'll take care of the whole system if we come to you.
The whole shoot and match. Yep. As far as your existing opening, or an opening that may be pre-made there, very, very uncommon that existing opening will be the right size to fit the ladder.
Yeah.
Occasionally we can reshape that, but very often we actually make a whole new hole.
Yeah.
There are considerations that when you take into consideration when
but
we're
I guess
looking at
that's why we get you out to come and have a look. Right?
That's the one.
Russell, stay with us because I know that you might have a couple of questions for Russell around the suitability of attic stairs at your place. So we're still talking with Russell Kendon from Sellwood. He's the General Manager, all about attic stairs. Bridget, good morning. Your question.
Good morning. Yes, these attic installations sound very appealing and they do the whole job. I've got a lot of room in my attic, and my question is, we also have a few little rodents that come and visit up there. So if they were going to convert a space, could they make it rodent-proof?
as rodent-proof can be made. Most folk, when we do an installation job, are just putting the flooring platform down, but we do offer a service where we can actually line the attic out. And we use a Thermobar product, a woven sort of foil product to sort of line it out. It is a relatively expensive process, but the finished job can look very, very good. There are photos on our website to show how that looks. Now, whether that is going to be entirely rodent-proof is not something we can guarantee, but it is a good start to try to seal off that space a little bit.
Oh, that sounds pretty good. We're not sure where the little rodents get in, but each winter they find a little space somewhere under the eaves. Yeah.
The other thing you can do is when you are storing things up there, we've got a 12-month-old, and so we're constantly putting clothes up in our attic. And my wife is very adamant that we should put everything into plastic boxes. So that's one way of sort of trying to protect what you're popping up there. But there are definitely options to try to seal that space off a little bit.
Yeah, no, that sounds great. And you're all around the country?
Yeah, we're a little short on the ground in Dunedin and Invercargill and Nelson, but short of that, we're pretty well covered. Where are you based?
Whakatane.
Yes, I've got a guy in the Bay of Plenty.
Yep, cool.
Guys, okay. Actually. Yeah.
Great. Oh, thank you very much.
No worries.
Good to hear from you, Bridget. And a text in from one of our listeners just then saying, asking the question about taking boxed up items upstairs. So the width of the stairs going up into the attic is wide enough, obviously, for a person. And if you've got a box in front of you, you don't want to fall backwards. So balance-wise, and I suppose the geometry of the whole setup has to be safe.
Couple of thoughts there. With the regular range, it's a 70-degree angle, so it's very similar to using a step ladder. In fact, a lot of folk do use step ladders. We try to make that a little bit safer for them by bolting it into the ceiling with a retractable ladder. But at that angle, depending on what you're taking up, it is a wise idea to make it a two-man job. So one person's at the bottom, one person's at the top, and you can hand things up. So it's slightly higher stud height. You can you might have got one or two rungs, but then you're handing it up. One of the great joys of the deluxe range that I was talking to you about, the angle is at 63 degrees and the treads are a lot deeper, about 125 mil. That makes climbing up and down a lot easier.
Yeah, I think the wider tread would suit. In fact, one of Stan Scott's building tips of the week was stair treads and risers being comfortable to navigate.
Yeah. Now, they're an awesome unit, the deluxe, that is. Folk can actually move up and down, although it's not necessarily recommended, but it is possible to move up and down without using your hands. It does feel like a steep staircase rather than a ladder.
Russell, good to talk to you this morning. Appreciate your time.
Not a problem. All the best.